Spook.
Yes.
We've had a lot of tech problems lately.
Like what, Sly?
Picture was blurry.
Like anybody's watching.
Microphone wasn't plugged in.
Like anybody's listening.
Audio software glitched.
Like that matters.
Battery went flat.
Like anyone lasts that long on this show.
The host was smashed.
I don't think anyone noticed.
Oh. We're out of beer.
Oh, fuck off!
Welcome to the Collingwood Rant. I am angry as fuck, Sly.
And I don't really like losing that much, Spook.
Okay, so we've just lost to the Fremantle Dockers. That bashed him from the west. Apparently we don't like clubs from West Australia playing us in the MCG.
Bashing from the west.
Yeah, a bashing from the west. Alright, let's break down this game into several different things.
Shit.
A few other things also. We'll start with the umpiring. So I don't want to be an Essendon supporter and go on about various decisions like how being tripped and shit like that.
But
just want to mention the touch behind that wasn't.
who touched who's behind?
Main touched Michael Walters' snap, and it got touched again by Sidebottom behind the line on the goal line. They went to the video umpire who looked at Sidebottom touching it about 3 feet behind the line and declared it a goal.
Yep, conclusive, I would have thought.
Yep.
Conclusive, yep.
Even though the players, Chris Mayne, that were complaining that Mayne was the one who touched it.
Mm-hmm. But that's normal for players to do that.
Apparently, and footage about 3 seconds later showed that Mayne did touch it.
Oh, and who showed that footage? The broadcasting network?
Yeah, Foxtel.
Yeah, Foxtel. Was it on the big screen at the ground, do you think?
I don't know, apparently Eddie Maguire...
Was it on a TV in Madagascar in the middle of the Swahili desert?
Possibly.
So basically everyone saw it except the people pay to fucking review these things.
Eddie Maguire said it wasn't available video because it was in 4K resolution, which they don't have the video goal.
What are they, on an old cathode ray tube TV?
I don't know. I mean, surely you just...
Is there a guy in a wheelchair or a rocking chair?
You know, I have occasionally watched a game on my iPad, so surely someone could have just got an iPad.
They could have come and grabbed your iPad.
I would have loaned it to them. But as Ross Lyon said in the press conference, well, it's in the vault now, it's done. So I don't want to blame the umpiring because
Did he say winners are grinners at the same time?
I think he was grinning. I don't know if he said it. Don't want to blame umpires. I don't want to be an Essendon supporter. They outplayed us. As Buckley said, if we stole it, we would have stolen it. Alright, let's look at the Collingwood as they've come out.
Through the banner?
It's amazing with the left RG they showed, they could break through tissue paper. It seriously is. Now,
I think the tissue paper was best on ground.
One of the popular defences at the moment is, they were due for a loss.
Were they?
I don't actually get that logic because you would have thought the last 3 weeks would be wake-up calls to say, look, you're not playing well enough, you're letting average sides get too close to you.
Correct.
Surely this is the wake-up call you need. If you actually needed the loss, then you seriously are a deluded football team.
I think they're a deluded football team.
Yeah. But otherwise, and this really has just grown in momentum, snowballed. How poor was the disposal? How much did they fumble? How often did they miss targets? How shoddily did they launch forward assaults?
I would say 184% of the time.
It really is reminding me a lot of 2017 when we're getting criticised being a very static team, and there were some good articles in the paper talking about like we didn't take the game on, all that sort of shit. And it is just that same shit. Adam Treloar, this guy who was meant to be really quick, line breaker, you've turned him into a plodding inside midfielder who's relying on handballs. It's ridiculous. Dane Beams, who we'll talk about a bit later,
in more ways than one,
was appalling. Still Sidebottom, was he out there?
No, he was one step away from appalling.
Still Sidebottom is
literally
one bad game away from a meme saying last seen preliminary final 2018.
Harsh but fair.
Crisp, whose fucking side was he on? I thought the only way he might have hit a Collingwood player is if we could have traded him at half time and put him on Fremantle's side, then he might have actually picked out a Collingwood player. Looking at some of the disposal efficiency, my check 50% disposal efficiency, 18 possessions. Callum Brown, 50%, again a low stats, 14 possessions. Ben Reid, who I thought actually moved well, 50%.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Crisp, 27 possessions, 51.9%. So basically 13 of his possessions went straight back to Fremantle.
Only 13?
13.
Oh.
Well, actually, I take it back. That's a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
That's what the defender said as well.
Chris Mayne, 59.1%, 22 possessions. Scott Pendlebury, 62%, 29 possessions. Varco and Beams, 14 possessions and... Well, both had 14 possessions. Both on 64.3%. Steel Sidebottom, 70%, 20 possessions.
It's just not good enough.
So Sidebottom, you give a pass in terms of disposal efficiency. But seriously, the poorness of our disposal, how shit it is, it really makes watching them hard. And like I was getting messages from yourself, I got messages from other friends going, this is really hard to watch. I don't actually know why it's suddenly become such an issue that the disposal is that appalling.
No, and it was a hallmark of our major improvement, I think, last year about how good it was getting. It's baffling because these are bottom sides that we've been playing.
Well, Freo's a little bit better than the bottom side. They've got
they're
still coming to MCG.
Essentially, they're out of the 8, I think, Freo, aren't they? Well, they're in the
9th now.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's on our home dung pitch or whatever the saying is, it really is baffling how it's just going downhill.
But it really comes back to that they're so static. No one is moving. No one's presenting. No. It's really painful.
Look, you sum it all up. I reckon that third quarter was probably one of the worst quarters of football I can recall in a long time.
I actually thought we were lucky to only be like a couple of goals down. No. We should have been like 6 goals down. And
apart from that little burst at the end, it was absolutely disgraceful. And you look at the way that they came back just before half time, you're sort of sitting there thinking, like, I'm fairly confident now that we probably will run over the top of them. But never did I think that the opposite would happen.
Well, we made sure the opposite didn't just happen, but it blew us out of the water. Levi Greenwood, who about a month ago, I think it was just I never said it, but don't seem defence. He's become a bastion of defence.
He's been very good.
Maynard had a good game.
Scary.
Chris played a lot in the middle and was terrible. James Aish is really struggling to me. He was becoming, or realising his talent before he did his PCL, which you have pointed out, and he just has looked so vanilla ever since coming back. Greenwood, 88.2% disposal efficiency, 17 possessions.
I never doubted him, to be honest.
Takes the game on, plays it hard, and he's now like, out of all those players, running defenders, somehow Levo Greenwood is the one I'm trusting most of all. I didn't see that coming.
No.
Dane Beams, it's been reported, needs hip surgery.
Which would explain a lot.
Yep, but wasn't there something about the Collingwood winning him off painkillers or something?
Oh, there's some rumour going around about that he'd been playing under duress at Brisbane under the painkillers, and we'd been winning him off. I don't know how
Brisbane never done that before.
True or false these things would be. Who knows?
Well,
you can write any old shit on social media these days. Just ask Robbo.
He looked horrible.
Since February?
He looked truly horrible in this game. To the point that I had people who were staunch Beams defenders texting and going, they've got to drop him.
How quickly the knives come out.
They do. They come out
especially when it's up to surgery.
In defence, more on how.
No thanks.
Do they need a fucking spin the wheel to work out who's going to go up and who's going to stay down? Or are they both going to just try and take mark of the year over each other?
I think that one.
The amount of times they sort of went up and just, both ruined each other.
Yeah, I think you made a good point during the game about how loose Moore was playing too.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that more at another point.
Well, I mentioned it then.
But Hogan struggled this year, and Moore made him look like Tony Lockett.
Yeah, that's never happened to a Collingwood side though before.
No. So in terms of system, what the hell went wrong? Trelaw apparently liked these little grubbers, but he wasn't yelling on. They were kicking these little shitty kicks. Sidebottom seemed to be running nowhere that was important. He just seemed to be running around like a maniac. Travis Varco, who is being selected as a small forward, apparently
a small battering ram,
prefers to be just pinball around and hit people. And one of the bigger issues for me is just the collective intelligence of this side when you need just some composure and that to close the game out. Instead, they do either really defensive things, like I recall De Goey went backwards about 40 metres with a kick, which was like, well, maybe he kicked toward the line. And he took that really good mark, which is basically a chest mark in the pack, and he turned around and he should have hit the line. And instead, he kicked it inside directly. I can't remember the Fremantle player, but he just picked out a Fremantle player. Totally unattended. Varco, when he took that last mark, he could have wasted a minute. He could have taken 30 seconds to line up the clock, and then he could have kicked it, and that would have taken another 20 seconds. It would have killed a minute of the game. Instead, he handballed to Crisp. Crisp shouldn't be calling to it unless he's going to nail it. He didn't even make the distance. Side bottom, I recall he charged into a pack, and he just handballed it straight back out the van. Maynard went for a bump on the guy on the ground rather than tackling and just locking the ball in. Where the hell is the composure just to say, hang on, we're 3 points up. Okay, these are bad decisions. You know, you can either play more attackingly and try and get another goal, which we didn't do, or you can play defensively but safe and like play to the boundary, knock the ball out, and kill some time, which we didn't do. It's really alarming that yet again, when challenged, composure just fucking went out the window.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and some of the goals the Dockers kicked when they just counter-attacked are really reminiscent of what was happening a few years ago where the moment we lost the ball, opposition just counter-attacked. There was no one around them and they just ran the ball uncontested.
Yeah, it's
the length of the field.
Speeds of Walter and Hill killed us there. We just had no one to even bother even going with them when they did those runs. It was just ridiculous.
Well, Walters is the most dangerous player, and it just shocked me at the end there where Fife was going to torp it in. He was clearly shaping for a torp. And nobody went within 10 metres of Walters. They just actually protected space around him. And it's like, he's going for a torp. Surely someone should go stand in the hole because there's a good chance this is going to just be a shank and drop short, which is what it did. But no one, again, had that sort of presence of mind to go, oh, you know what?
Yeah. They're just not playing smart at the moment, are they?
Oh, but when have they played smart?
Yeah, that's a good point. No, there's just a lot of dumb decisions being made at the moment.
Mike,
it's I don't know what it's about.
My concern is there's two versions of Collingwood. One, the team that plays on runs, they look scintillating. They did it for a quarter in the grand final. They did it to Richmond for about 3/4 of the prelim. They did it to St Kilda, Carlton, and who's the other Sydney for about 10 minutes of game time. And they look great. Then there's this very static one, flat-footed, handballing around. You got a ruckman who's blitzing, who's having these games where he's tapping out 50 taps.
But none of them do us.
Well, apparently he's averaging 1 in 4 to advantage, which I wouldn't have seen.
The opposition have a great time raving his hit-outs every week.
This is the other problem that we've whinged about for a few weeks, is surely you got to be, not just Grundy, but surely the whole team's got to get smart and say, look, they're starting to read you, smash one. You know, just smash.
Do they really, at this stage, need that to be explained to them?
Apparently they do, because they're not paying a fucking attention.
Because what was the hit-out numbers at the end? Like, Grundy well and truly dominated the hit-outs. I didn't see the final numbers, but I think at one point during the game I checked, it was like 50-14 or something. He was absolutely dominating the hit-outs, and yet we fucking can barely buy a clearance. It's just obscene.
It really is getting a bit to an alarming point where you're looking at them and going, something's not working there. And whatever's happening, whatever like spark of form that they show, it's not igniting and carrying them on. Now, the one qualifier I'll put on this is, I've said to a few people, it reminds me a bit of 2003, the first half of the year. 2002, we lost the grand final, amazingly. 2003, the first half of the year, we really played listless. You know, we got smashed by some teams. I remember we gave like West Coast about a 7-goal head start. We got the 3 goals in front and we still lost it. Then we had the mid-season break. They went away. They came back refocused, and they only lost one more game for the home and away season. They blitzed everyone else, and that's to me like I actually wonder whether they're falling into a bit of a mindset of we lost the grand final. Okay, let's just do enough to get back to the finals, and that's when we're going to turn it on.
I'd probably concur with that, and I simply think too also that some of these games are clearly lost above the shoulders, and this was one of them. I was saying to you before that there was one game going into this year, the 3-0 at the G, and I think that they went in with that similar mindset too, that enough will be enough, that if it gets a little bit out of control, we'll rest it back because that's what we've done for the last month, and it almost worked yet again, but the thing is it's just pitching downwards the way that we're playing, and these things just aren't the way that you want to be tackling the second half of the season.
Well,
I mean, we're 8 and what are we?
Three.
8 and 3. It's hard to sort of complain on that side, but you'll give it a good old red hot crack. But
it's one of these things where it's so close. We went from a game clear in second position, a game behind Geelong, top position. Now we're back in the pack.
Yeah.
And look, if you lose, you lose. That's fucking the game. You're going to lose games. But to lose a game against a team who traditionally doesn't do well at the MCG...
Well, they haven't beaten us there for about 14 years.
Yeah, which, you expected to win, which is important statistically for the ladder and all that sort of stuff. That really hurts. If we played Richmond and they beat us, it'd be like, all right, well, they're a good team. Fremantle's a young team coming up, but still, you should be accounting for them relatively comfortably on the G. Didn't do it. So it's like, now put more pressure on us to pick up a game which we wouldn't have expected to pick up. And that's the thing that really galls me. It's don't blow fucking opportunities. This is an opportunity to just quietly sit, in second spot. Gathering momentum, yeah. But now we're third and, it just takes another loss and you'll now be with all those teams from 4th to 15th.
That's it.
Any final thoughts about this game?
Nah, fuck it off. Let's move on.
Right, so we'll be back. Welcome back. It's time for... What's the time for?
Time to end the show?
No.
Ah, damn.
No.
Would it be Medium Mephitic?
That would be it.
Is it the bumper edition?
This is a huge edition of Medium Mephitic.
Is it bigger than Tina?
Arena?
That was a song there once.
I don't know.
Look it up.
A Richmond Cheer Squad member was given a 3-game ban for calling an umpire a green maggot.
What a prick.
The umpire?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Is that like taking sensitivity a little too far?
I think it's just a byproduct of the society we live in today, Sly.
So do you think it's taking sensitivity a little too far?
Just a little bit too far. Just maybe a smidge.
Umpire could have solved
Maybe there was a green maggot on the ground.
Maybe
he was an entomologist.
To me, it's madness. You mean abusing umpires with...
His professionalism could be called into disrepute.
Yeah, well... You've been abusing umpire... Not you specifically, but...
I've never abused an umpire.
For ages...
Lovely people.
Nonsensical...
I've done that before.
Insults like a green maggot. Surely this umpire didn't go home and curl up in the corner and cry and go, oh, you called me a green maggot. I'm ever going to... I don't know. That's overkill for me. Carlton suspended Dale Thomas for having a few drinks.
Oh, that's disgraceful. Cheers.
Dane Swan joked on Twitter that it was a reward to be suspended and he should ask for the rest of the season off.
Swanee's always pulling those good ones out.
As everyone by now would know, Brendan Bolton has been sacked from Carlton.
That's a shame. I liked him.
I loved him. Mark Stevens...
Has he been sacked?
No, well, we could wish. Mark Stevens... I accidentally caught some of the Channel 7 news where...
You accidentally caught it?
I accidentally caught it because I was just cleaning up and the television had gone...
Your ass hit the remote.
No,
we've all been there.
From, what was that? The Chase or what the fuck it's called?
I have no idea. It's your story, mate.
Yeah.
Just tell it.
Yeah, and the news opened with... Apparently the most important thing that's happened in Australia is Brendan Bolton was sacked.
Yeah.
They crossed to Mark Stevens, and then he said he'd be back later.
What, Bolton?
No, it's Stevens.
That's a quick sacking.
With story...
Is his name Captain Kirk?
No, he said he'd come back with who pulled the trigger on Bolton and why.
Jeez, did you do a lot of research in that break?
Why would he been sacked? I don't know.
Who would have pulled the trigger, do you think?
I don't know.
The boot stutter?
Probably
the cleaner.
One of the caterers.
Bolton, you're out of here, mate. Get out!
You haven't cleaned up. Get out. Gavin Krasiska said on Twitter, they say they're also worried about keeping their started kids together if their on-field issues continue. Bullshit! Exclamation mark. Never liked Carlton, the club, when I played. Never liked them when I coached with them, and still don't like them now.
Because they're lying about it. I hated when I coached with them. Yeah. Under his breath all the time. Yeah, it's a good call, you fucking dog.
Imagine when he was coaching it here. Let's put Favola, the half-back, in the reserves. Yeah. Murphy? No, don't take him in. Number 1 pick. Take...
Do you ever know that blues rhymes with poos? I heard he said that one a few times.
Well, I have to disagree if you could, Gav. As we just said, we're loving him now. Bolton is... Is he
back again, is he?
No. David Teague was appointed caretaker coach and tweeted that it was news to him.
Yeah, it was news to me. Who is he?
David Teague, he won like their best and fairest, I think, that year. Dennis Pagan traded
Is
Tennis
he that
Cyclables.
blonde-haired bloke?
Yeah,
No,
he was like the
yeah.
mini Glenn Archer.
Yeah, very mini.
But it's funny, like, seriously, he's going, I don't know, and they've just sacked Bolton. No one's actually rang Teague and said, do you want the job?
It's a great club.
What a club.
Keep going, Carlton. Love your work.
So Brendan Bolton was sacked with the second worst winning percentage ever. 21 wins out of 82 games for 25.6%. The only man in front of him is Gerald Brosnan,
Brosnan.
who led University and Melbourne to 17 wins in 88 games between 1910 and 1920.
Well, Bolts, you're in illustrious company there, mate. Well done.
You know what I find funny here? This Brosnan obviously doesn't have a good record. He sucked at University, and Melbourne went around going, who should coach our club? How about that Brosnan from University? He must be doing a good job.
He's got potential. Actually, it's a shame they got rid of Bolton. I reckon he could have had a crack at that record.
He would have definitely given it a good crack. Saints game against Port in China. Did you watch that?
No.
Any thoughts on playing in China?
What a waste of fucking time that exercise is. What was there, 3 people there?
Oh, it was about 9,000 midget. You'd imagine they're all expats.
Yeah, but
There wouldn't be many Chinese trying to pick up the game.
no. They're always hungry though, aren't they? Isn't it? They have dinner and they're always hungry a minute later. Isn't it
what you're on
it's an
about.
old joke, isn't it?
It's-
I imagine they're at the snack food stand, having a hot dog.
If you could play a game anywhere, since China apparently is a possibility, where else could you play a game?
I would play a game in China.
Where else other than China?
Oh, maybe the Arctic Circle. That'd be good for a laugh.
I'd play one on the moon because that would just solve flooding. The players would just be floating away. Someone kick the ball and go 3 kilometres. That'd be good. The AFL Commission looks set to accept a proposal from Geelong President Colin Carter, which would see premierships from 1870 to 1896 officially recognised,
Oh, what?
as well as player records. So these are VFA records before the competition became the VFL. According to this, Carter says it will reclaim history. The AFL would see 27 more premierships handed out, which means...
Didn't we win a few before we joined the VFL?
So, Carter's from Geelong. So, Cats would claim 7 of them, moving up to 16 flags. Carlton would surge away from Essendon and would sit on 22, while the Bombers' 4 extra flags would take them to 20. We only get 1 more, as...
I challenge that.
As we came into the comp 1 year before the AFL was recognised. So do you think that's a good idea?
Nah, fuck that one off.
They reckon they're set to accept it. I actually would love to lobby the AFL to dismiss all VFL records and just make it an AFL competition.
How will we sit then?
Ah, fuck.
2.
Second, probably.
We'll still be leading the grand final losses.
Oh, shit. I've got to leave now. You're not wrong, unfortunately. Congrats to former Pie Reece Shaw for coaching the Kangaroos.
Well done, Rita.
Yep. Collingwood has appointed Stephen Simon to be their new AFLW coach.
Simon says.
Oh, that'll be a good one. He was... And you can see why they've appointed him once I read this out. So, he coached Norwood in the SNFLW. For 3 years, he led them to the 3 grand finals and he only won 1.
Well, that's his qualifications.
He's probably overqualified.
Rubber stamped. Did they and ah about the fact he won one? Was that almost a mark against him, you think?
I think, they probably just look at his first 2 years, goes, he's the man for us.
Well, he's probably, because I don't think the AFLW have even looked like getting close to a final.
No, they've been terrible. They've lost or gushed players. He's also been the assistant coach in SNFL men's programs and been involved with AFL in game development. I mean, geez, you couldn't do much worse, could you? Mid-season draft, we took John Noble.
Oh, what a noble gesture.
So,
Didn't see that coming.
Noble is 72 kilograms, 180 centimetres.
He looked like a midget in the highlights.
And our...
A speedster, though.
Yep, so our South Australian contact Rico man described him as Stephenson Light.
Stevenson light.
Yeah.
What? Was he get blown around by the wind?
No.
Does he only weigh 12 kilos wet?
I'm actually thinking they've picked him up to be a small forward, not to be a mid, which apparently we have a few of those.
We need a speedster.
Well, he could be it. Before this week, Puff Pieces came out on Roughhead and Callum Brown.
Oh, and look how well that happened. Worked, rather.
All right, so a lot of shit coming out about Dane Beams over the last couple of weeks about reasons he's playing poorly, mental health issues.
So we're coming to the elephant in the room here.
Rumours about extracurricular activities.
What, studying to be a law, yeah?
A law? Which law is that?
A lawman, I almost said, but I don't think they exist
Val
anymore.
shall not win the premiership. And, not going to dignify him by repeating him, but now they're saying he's had a hip problem, which he's carried the whole year. He has looked slow. They're saying he'll be out for 3 months.
Was that 3 Collingwood months or 3
3 Collingwood
Lunar
months would be about 9 years.
So he's going to retire then.
I don't know, what do you think about that? Because Beams hasn't looked good this year.
He's been very, very average. He's had moments, but he's been overall probably very average. Considering what it's currently costing us, it's hard to be positive about it, but I guess, look, if there's a slight chance he gets right for finals, but by then, isn't he sort of kind of redundant to that side that gets to the finals?
You could say that. And you wouldn't want to put him in...
Unless, of course, we have lots of injuries.
That wouldn't happen. But on present form, you'd be very wary of putting him in and him bringing that form across.
Well, unless he can start running again.
Yeah, I'm saying that 3 months. I mean, he'll be massively unfit. Finally, a really interesting one from Doska, who was a former Collingwood rantist on the old website.
Oh.
He pointed out on the Instagram vid where they showed the announcement that Matthew Schoenberg would be making his return to the VFL. A lot of players are celebrating, and Braden Sire really doesn't look happy.
Maybe he stood on his foot.
What did you think about that? You saw the footage?
Oh, and I thought there was nothing in that really.
Really?
I think it was just caught unawares by the announcement a little bit, and the camera didn't linger on him long enough to sort of know what he did afterwards. He may have done cartwheels for all I know.
He didn't.
I wouldn't read too much into that. He'll be back this week and have 40 possessions and kick 12 goals.
Well, that's it for Medium Mephitic, according to Spook.
Oh.
Just kill the rumour mill. Yeah, we'll be back with the match preview.
Beautiful. Who do we play?
Melbourne.
Yep. I read about them.
You know who used to coach them? George Brosnan.
Yep. What a coach. Wonder how many posters of him Bolton had on his wall growing up.
Okay, we're back with the match preview, the traditional Queen's Birthday clash, which goes all the way back to, I don't know, about 2001 or something.
Old rivals.
I think I made that joke last week too. Alright, so Sire, 34 possessions, 14 kicks, 20 handballs in the VFL, 5 tackles.
Straight in. First picked.
Josh Dacos, 11 kicks, 9 handballs, 5 tackles.
Yeah, I think he can come in and replace Thomas, to be honest.
Yep, Thomas, to be honest. Wills, 11 kicks, 7 handballs, 9 tackles. Quaynor, 10 kicks, 7 handballs.
Would you?
Not yet. Oh, Quaynor... No, probably not, because he'd then just...
It's getting close.
Yeah, but I want to bring him in
Big
before
day.
the bye.
It's an old Malthouse special to bring debut a player on a big event day.
My only concern would be, like, he plays in the AFL and what happens, he gets a week off, so he doesn't really get to build momentum and shit like that.
It's about the day.
Like when Jack Watts played his debut game.
That was funny.
Crocker, 19 possessions. Brumett, 17 possessions in the goal.
I saw his name in the VFL stats and actually I completely forgotten about it. I don't even know he's back playing. That was very little fanfare.
Tyler Brown.
There's a big hullabaloo about Shaz coming back. This guy had his leg broken in 48 different places.
Getting to.
And he just sneaked straight back in. Maybe they didn't even know he's meant to be playing.
Tyler Brown, 18 touches after his first game back from injury. And Scharenberg returned and played a half and did pretty well.
Yes, that's encouraging. I'm very, very hopeful that he can hold it together in all shape and forms.
And no injuries other than Beams, who's been announced has got the hip. But Hoskin Elliott's been terrible. Thomas has been terrible. Well, he has. Varco.
The battering ram.
It's been terrible. So you got the opportunity to bring in Josh Dacos.
Yeah, I think so. I think I would.
For me, Josh Thomas is now in Tarkin Lockyer territory. We're in 2-10. Lockyer was a mainstay in the side at the beginning of the year. But it got to the point where they said, well, this is all you've got for us. Let's try McCaffrey, let's try Blair. they're going to give us about as much as you're giving us, and there's possibility that they have upside. So Thomas is really sitting right there now.
Yep.
He's out of form. He
Great.
looks totally out of touch. Huskin Elliott, he's got a lot of talent, but geez.
I'd still persist.
Oh.
I mean, he can dob up and contribute when it's required, except for this week, obviously. But no, I still would keep him in there.
Or against Sydney, he did nothing.
Well, the last quarter was pretty good, wasn't it? Was it that one?
No, that was against Carlton. We needed
all these games starting to blur into one at this age.
All these, anonymous games. All right, so you'd bring in Dacos and Sire.
Yes, definitely Sire.
And Coxie could be back in the reserves.
Yeah, but then didn't I see something about that he could be a shock conclusion? Wasn't there a...
Oh, I'm sure, that's just clickbait.
Would he benefit from a run in the VFL? I'd just get him straight back in.
Because he's a young player in terms of games, not in age, but he's only still got about 40 games under his belt. I don't know if he could just come straight back in and pick up the tempo.
Is there a stand in the goal square and just put his arm out?
I don't think that... I think Reed's done pretty well the last few weeks.
You can't have both of them in that forward line.
No, you can't. And the argument for Coxie is you play him as a relief ruck against Gawn, because Gawn's going to totally obliterate
Grundy.
not Grundy, Reed.
Reed, yeah.
Grundy has done well against
Holtz
Gawn.
as well, yeah.
So,
but we have been smashed when Reed's gone to the ruck the last couple of weeks. It's a big risk to take him in.
It's really one of these things...
As a ruckman, I don't know.
It's one of these things where you'd possibly...
Would they drop Mio?
No. You'd think that... I don't... Because he provides hard running. So you have Cox and Reed in there. They're not going to provide that hard run. It's really possible one thing that they could do is play Reed down back and move Roughhead into the ruck for that relief rucking.
Possibly, just for those 5-10 minute bursts. Yeah. Possibly.
I mean, to me, Reed's done amazing to have played 5 games in a row. And you do really watch him thinking, geez, I hope he doesn't break down. But that game last week, he actually moved really well. I don't think he's moved that well in about, since about 2011.
Very, very mobile. I don't think that I think Buckley has a history of making great wholesale changes. We only lost by 3 points, and they'll keep that in the back of their mind.
The good thing about Buckley in the press conference, he goes, we didn't deserve to win it. So, I mean, they lost pretty much in every facet of the game. They lost, clearances and stoppages and shit like that.
Well, you bring Sire in, and that hopefully addresses that. Is a bloke you're going to find at the bottom of the pack dishing the ball out. And suddenly all those other players can slot back into those roles that they did so well this time last year.
Well, you'd hope. So, you've got concerns about this game?
Only because... Well, yeah, obviously, the ladder positions being what they are, you should say that we should feel confident, but our trajectory has been tapering down for 4 or 5 weeks now. It'll take something special, I think, to arrest that and have them come out and play a blinder. And I don't think we've got a blinder in us at the moment. Maybe, it's been, it's not often, not unusual rather, that you sometimes limp into the bye. That's your rest point, you're aiming for that, and then you have a good hard look at yourself and you come out a refreshed side on the other side. It's quite possible that we could limp into that with another loss. I don't want to see that. I don't like losing to Melbourne, but they tend to have our measure, and this
we've been the last couple of times.
Their grand final, of course.
Right, I'm actually going the other way. I think after the shitness of last week's effort, we'll come out really pumped.
Are we going to be able to sustain that, though?
Well, the good thing...
Because you could have a blind first quarter and then get a reel back pretty quick.
But I think that's got to be in the forefront of their minds too. But the good thing, psychologically, is that loss Melbourne had to Adelaide, which pretty much obliterates their finals chances. So they're not... The attitude probably is now, shit, we can't make it. So their intensity drops a little bit, rather than, if they'd won last week, then they're only, 1 game out of the 8 or whatever. So I'm actually hoping that last week's game, their game against Adelaide, and the way they lost it, they kicked like 1-7 in the last quarter too, Melbourne. The way they lost it just totally demoralised them, and they're just going, well, fuck it, this is not the year for us.
Or it could just galvanise and come out and be pricks on this day.
Allegedly, May
and Lever are supposed to be coming back in this week. They'll be underdone. They haven't played a game in the VFL, have they?
Not as far as I'm aware, but...
Lever's only been back at training a short period of time, I thought.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that was their issue, Lever and May. Because last year when they made the charge to the prelim, neither of them were there. So their issue has been more the hardball gets. But the last few weeks they've been a little bit better, but still, they look like a patchy team, and something's happened there, whether it's just injuries. I mean, they've had a lot of injuries, so I'm hoping we'll come out hard. They will just go, fuck it, this year's not for us.
Well, that would be the perfect scenario.
And, we just cruise. I mean, last year we actually did beat them about 8 goals, where that game with the goal he played in the middle, and he dominated from the onset.
The goal in the middle, hey?
Yeah.
He's not going to last, though.
Well, the guy for me is the sort of guy they're missing in the middle. Without Adams and Sy there.
I think with his leg issues at the moment, though, he's not going to be able to run out a game in there.
Well,
and he's exceptionally dangerous up forward at the moment, and we're not kicking a lot of goals every game.
Yeah, but you got to win the ball or get it forward. So
yeah, well.
Tip.
Pies by 12 points.
I'll tip Collingwood by 31.
Oh, Brassey's number.
Yeah, the Chris Dawes number. The clock. How far are we putting it back after Collingwood shit us?
About 1922.
I don't think it's got a year on it.
Yeah, it should do. 1 hour. Give him the benefit of the doubt.
Oh, it's stuck. Is that a sign?
It's a sign, alright.
Sign of times. Alright, so we'll be back next week.
Yeah.
If you like what you see, if you don't like it, subscribe anyway. Leave comments. We're actually going to do a mid-season break review episode, so if you have any questions to fire at us, fire away. Find us on
Facebook.
I was going to say Spotify.
YouTube. Find us on YouTube.
The Cricketers Arm.
The internet. We're on the internet.
Is that still around?
That's still going, apparently, the internet. And in all good bookshops and magazine stores. You won't find us there.
No, you might find me there.
Oh, yeah, that's right, 'cause you're an author.
Your computer's just shut down.
Oh,
anyway, we will see you next week.
You'll hit this.
Collingwood shot. Later.